right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving deep into the really complex world of human attraction. And we're going to do it by looking at some fascinating and very different perspectives from our source materials. So what really drives attraction in today's world? Is it a science, an art, or is it all just a game? Well, our sources seem to suggest it might actually be a little bit of all three. So let's try and crack this code together. We're going to break this down into four main parts. Each one gives us a totally different angle for understanding how desire really works. All right, first up, the physical stuff. Let's get right into the biological blueprint. How much of attraction is just hardwired into us? Okay, so it's pretty wild to think about, right? That what you eat could actually have a direct impact on your love life. But according to one of our sources, Dr. Emma Blake, that's exactly what happens. Certain foods, certain herbs, they can literally change your body's chemistry. You know, things like beets, they boost nitric oxide, which helps with blood flow. And then you've got these herbal compounds like Tonkat Ali, stuff that's been used for centuries to boost male vitality. So yeah, it seems like biology has a seat at the table, literally. All right, now this is where things get, well, a little more tactical, maybe even a bit controversial. This slide breaks down a concept from one of our sources called the 9 touch spots. And the whole idea here is that there's a specific, sequenced way to touch someone. You start with less intimate areas, you read their body language, and then you progress. The source actually claims that a single, deliberate touch on a spot like the hip hollow can trigger an involuntary muscle contraction. I mean, it's a really clinical way of looking at something we usually think of as just spontaneous, you know? Okay, so we've touched on the physical. Let's build on that and move into our next section, the unspoken signals we're all sending and receiving. I mean, have you ever said something but really meant something else? Of course you have, we all do it. And according to one of our sources, Cine Diva, this is a huge part of the attraction game. It's all about plausible deniability. You're signaling interest, but you're doing it with these seemingly innocent phrases. It gives everyone an out, you know? It's like a safety net for our ego if the other person isn't on the same page. And this slide right here, it's the perfect example of what we're talking about. Just look at these phrases. On the surface, they're totally harmless. I'm gonna be home alone this weekend. But in the right context, with the right tone, it becomes something so much more. Or how about your trouble, said with a little smile? That's not a criticism, right? It's a fun, flirty way of saying, hey, I feel the chemistry between us. It's a whole secret language happening right in front of us. So another one of our sources, Jesse Keaton, has a name for this. Innuendo. And it's exactly what it sounds like, a message with 2 layers. The surface layer is totally normal, totally innocent, but underneath, there's this sexier subtext that the other person can't help but feel. He actually argues that this whole approach bypasses our logical brain and speaks directly to what he calls the lizard brain, that primal, instinctual part of us. Okay, but we all know attraction isn't just about biology or clever wordplay, right? A huge piece of the puzzle is psychological. And that's especially true when we're talking about keeping that spark alive in a long-term relationship. And this, for me, is where the conversation gets really fascinating. We have the celebrated psychotherapist Esther Perel, who completely reframes what we even mean when we say erotic. For her, it is not just about the physical act of sex. It's about eros, this life force. It's about aliveness, it's about playfulness, curiosity. It's really the difference between a relationship that's just surviving and one that is truly thriving. And she makes this really powerful point about infidelity. She suggests that it's often not about falling out of love with your partner. A lot of the time, it's about a search for lost parts of yourself. It's a yearning for novelty, for freedom, for that feeling of vitality that might have faded over the years. And this brings us to what's maybe the biggest paradox of modern love. Our expectations are through the roof, right? We want our partner to be our best friend, our passionate lover, and our soulmate, all wrapped in one. We crave stability and security, our anchor. But at the same time, we want novelty, excitement, and adventure, our wild frontier. And that's the huge question. How can one person possibly be both? Okay, so let's shift gears completely, because now we're going to look at desire from a totally different angle, as a strategic, sometimes cold, calculated operation. Yeah, it's a little chilling to think about, but in the world of espionage, seduction is just another tool in the toolbox. According to an ex-CIA source, all sex can be seen as an expression of power. The goal is to literally manipulate someone's brain chemistry. You're targeting hormones like oxytocin to create a feeling of connection and vasopressin to create a feeling of belonging. It's all done to achieve a mission. It's desire weaponized. And believe it or not, it gets even more systematic than that. The KGB apparently had this all mapped out. They created these almost poetic code names for their sexpionage operations. You had a raven for a male agent, a swallow for a female agent. I mean, it just strips away all the romance and shows you the cold, calculated machine behind it all. So what do you do if you think you're on the receiving end of this? Well, some sources actually give you a counterplay. It's called the three-step trap, and it's all about flipping the power dynamic. First, you notice and assess. You hold their gaze for just a second or two longer than normal, but with this kind of cool, detached interest. Then, you just snap back to the conversation like nothing happened. This simple move apparently seizes the initiative, and suddenly, you go from being the target to the one in control. So, okay, we've looked at biology, hidden languages, deep psychology, and cold hard strategy. These are some really different, even conflicting ideas. So how on earth do we make sense of it all? How do we put the pieces together? Well, if there's one thread that runs through all of these different perspectives, it's this central paradox. Desire is like a fire, right? It needs space, it needs air to breathe. Too much distance and the flame goes out. But if you smother it, if you have too much closeness, it dies out too. So if we had to boil it all down to a single equation, it would probably be this one, which is often credited to Esther Perel. Lasting, sustainable desire isn't just one thing. It's a delicate dance between two very different human needs, safety and variety. You need the security and trust of a deep connection. That's your anchor. And you need the excitement and mystery of something new. That's your adventure. You really do need both. So after all that, what do you do with this information? What's the point? Well, ultimately, understanding all these different layers, the biological, the psychological, all of it, it isn't about learning how to manipulate someone. It's about awareness. It's about giving yourself the tools to understand your own, sometimes contradictory desires. And maybe, just maybe, it helps us all build more intentional, more honest, and more meaningful connections. The code's in your hands now. Thanks for joining me.